Hello everyone, welcome to Game 2 in a matchup between Complexity MVP Donray Gu versus Imba Strlok here on MLG Dual Site. Strlok spawning as the red Terran player over here at the 3 o'clock position. Meanwhile, over here on the far side we have Donray Gu spawning as the blue Zerg. Zerg versus Terran on Dual Site. This should be a great matchup. Game 1, a real interesting matchup and a real strong execution by one of the players. Not going to say which one, and as some of you guys may be watching these games out of order, I don't know why you would, but then again, if you do watch these games out of order, I don't want to spoil it for you. Now, Dual Site only has 2 spawning locations where you can currently see the players, and it's a very interesting matchup in that, or a very interesting map in that it plays very similarly to, say, Xel'Naga Caverns. The third base is perhaps a little bit more easy to establish than Xel'Naga Caverns for Zerg, but it is still not a map that a lot of Zerg players really like. It is prone to getting marine rushed. 2 base all-ins from Terran and Protoss are rather common as well. So we'll see what happens in this particular matchup and what these players will really be trying to go for and what they'll really what they will try to execute. Now, taking a look back over here, Donray Gu, it looks like he is going to be going for an early hatchery. You can see that he has scouted out down over here, made sure that there is no proxy barracks at all the places where there are most likely going to be proxy barracks, and this drone making a way down over here will be growing up to be a hatchery in just a moment. There you go, growing up, being a hatchery, doing what Zerg drones love to do best, producing larvae. Now, Donray Gu going to slip by with this one particular drone and start to get a good feel of what exactly Strlok is doing. Made sure that the gas is currently being mined, so he knows that there is not going to be some hidden barracks anywhere. And now, based upon the timing, another supply depot could be added. Now, this drone is going to try to sit in this position here. It looks like it will get pushed away, especially as a marine about to be finished. And there you go, there is that supply depot there. Overlord is making a parking position over here, making sure that no perhaps Hellions or any other units later on will be able to drive up very easily at all. He wants to know when this expansion is going to be established, so perhaps going to try to take an interesting flight path in order to get there. And where exactly is it going? Okay, it's just going to hover out over here at the third base, perhaps see when, or in between the third and second base, looking to see when this Vespene Geyser will be established. Interestingly enough, a spawning pool built in a rather strange location. I'll see whether or not this was on purpose or on accident. This is not the undead from Warcraft 3. Adding a building on the edge of your blight does not continue that blight or that creep. You really have to lay down some creep tumors in order to extend that creep and get a very strong movement speed advantage. Command center now coming in over here. It looks as though there is a reactor going to be added as well. So Strlok going into a factory, going to be double training Hellions. So double training Hellions with this one command center back over here as well. Perhaps 2 to 4 Hellions will be added before the pressure starts to begin around the 6-minute mark. Pretty standard play there, as we now see that the command center has been started. Command center, or hurry, the hatchery down over here is already mining away. 23 drones versus 20 SCVs. That one mule, though, in the air, or now on the ground finally, able to even up that economic advantage just a little bit, as Strlok is now starting to research STEM. So STEM now being researched, and we'll see whether or not that is going to be whether or not we'll see a swap back over off of this factory in just a little bit. Zerglings are now making their way around, perhaps double training Marines, as the Hellions are now trying to put a little bit of pressure on the front door, as Strlok now just continuing to just drive around here and getting a little bit more damage and at least preventing some of those drones from being able to mine in peace. Zerglings now attempting to run up that ramp. There is a Marine up on that high ground. Hellion's going to finish off those Zerglings rather quickly, as we now have 4 Hellions on the move. There is also 1 Overlord hiding in the brush on the high ground here, as the Hellions look to torch some drones, but that is going to be a little bit more difficult, as we now see Zerglings are being added, and there are a couple Queens here. The Queens, yeah, that creep tumor does get stopped, and now the Hellions need to perhaps work together and figure out what exactly they're going to be doing and how much damage they can actually deal to that Queen. Queen has 175 hit points, but it is not a light armored unit, so it doesn't really take that much damage. Hellion's now trying to come back up off to the north as well. It looks like the Spine Crawler may be able to go in. No, Hellion's able to try to come up the ramp, but getting trapped right there. The Hellions do attack very, very slowly, and they're able to finally push their way up. So 4 Hellions now inside the base. Gonna perhaps get off a drone kill or 2. Is it gonna be enough? A lot of, 3 drones currently down. It looks like another 2 drones there. Is it gonna be enough to get off even more? Yes, and a couple more kills there. So a total of 7 kills for those Hellions, and now 27 drones versus 27 SCVs. A round of drones do need to be retrained up, and we do finally see a reactor being set up over here, and now this barracks most likely will be reestablished or lifted off and trying to use this reactor as well. Stim pack is now completed. Hellions, a fresh group of Hellions are now down. A bunker going to be added, as well as Strlok, very comfortable sitting on 30 SCVs, has a whole bunch of mules in play, and is going to have a very strong economy moving into the mid game. Now, this is really where Strlok wants to shine as a Terran player. He knows that he did a little bit of economic damage. He knows that he has slowed down that third base, that all-important third base, and knows that he should be able to macro up and stay toe-to-toe with his opponent. Now, Don Regu, on the other hand, needs to figure out at what time he wants to establish a hatchery down over here. He needs to start getting creep tumors over there in that direction so he can transfer queens over. He needs to make sure that he has decent movement speed running in between these 2 locations, and he really needs to just increase his production once more. 43 drones or 45 drones versus 38 SCVs right now. You can see that there is an overseer still flying around. The contamination does cost a whole bunch of energy now in order to be used, since this is patch 141, an ability that's not really readily or not really used all too often. Now, back over here, Hellion still just sitting out right beyond the side of that creep. The Hellions are currently being revealed, and the Hellions are now going to get absolutely surrounded. And that was a really bad misstep by Strlok. Strlok did bring in an additional Hellion into that party, but only to have it get destroyed as well, and that is no good at all. Now, taking a look, the Zerglings are going to be able to just start to regenerate once more. There is 16 Marines and 1 medevac in the air. No reactor on that medevac on this starport, so it is not going to be double training medevacs as I would have originally thought. Strlok also mispositioned his 1 factory. Finally going to start landing it, perhaps training up some siege tanks as well, and getting that all-important siege tech. Only 1 medevac in the air, and this is not going to turn out well. This hatchery down over here may get canceled. This is really what Strlok needs to do. He needs to cancel this hatchery, make sure that his opponent doesn't get up on bases, and now the Marines are going to simply just walk in here in just a moment. There you go. The Marines now positioning themselves in between these mineral patches here, and now also spreading apart all of those Marines in different locations. And Strlok being very, very tricky, looking with like a lot less units, but the Mutalisks are now pushing in as well over here. Marines are trying to push back. It looks like this SCV is going to get destroyed. Yes, this SCV building the barracks was destroyed, and now still a lot more Mutalisks in the air, able to clean up multiple SCVs. 1 poor Marine just in the wrong spot, but at least he's firing as he's getting killed. Back over here, it looks like there may be a drop in just a moment. The Overlord should spot this. Yes, the Overlord does spot this. These Marines still going to try to chase over. This is not looking good. Marines, 1 siege tank still wandering around. More Marines continuing to push in. Double missile turrets able to force and push back. All of this is not going to be good at all. It looks like another Mutalisk barely surviving at 1 hit point. And now this medevac now trying to unload the rest of these Marines. The Zerglings are going to be able to finish them off. And Don Regu has easily evened up the score, even though he is currently even on bases as a Zerg player. He wants to establish that next base. Even though that was delayed, he had a lot of smart engagements. And now I believe Strlok is just a little bit behind. As you can see, the total resources, he's about behind in about 800 resources so far. That third orbital command has already been built. You can now see double expansions coming in from Don Regu, already expanding over here at the 6 o'clock location while expanding at the 9 o'clock location. Going to start connecting it with even more creep tumors to get that very all-important creep highway. Zerglings and Banelings are hiding off over here. It looks like the Mutalisks are going to be able to come in and deal even more damage to these Marines, and now just keep Strlok really far inside his base. If you look at Strlok does not have that much map control or map awareness at all. He is very, very much bunkered in, and he's almost inviting Don Regu to try to attack him. Don Regu going to be a little bit smarter than that, knows that he doesn't need to attack in order to win right now. He can just out-expand his opponent, and then come back at him with an even larger army, more effective army. Marines now pushing in as well. It looks like one Mutalist does get taken down, two Mutalisks taken down. Very, very expensive loss there as the missile turrets are trying to push back the rest of those Mutalisks. SCVs need to start repairing that one missile turret. It doesn't look like it will get it in time. Is it going to make it down to 6 hit points and able to survive? The bunker was canceled in time. There are Marines down over here now calling in some mules in order to start mining once more. As you can see, Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutalisks in the air. Now we're going to have a large number of Marines and tanks move across the center, but this is a split-up army here as the Banelings are going to splash up and just perhaps destroy the rest of the Marines. We're going to have one orbital command now trying to fly away, and a Baneling being used to destroy a mule. Not very cost-effective at all, as Strlok now going to lose his third base. There is a group of Marines now trying to push off over here. I believe this one Queen has more than enough to fight back. However, there is 1-1 upgrades. Zerglings now going to swarm in as well. This one orbital command now getting a mule to repair it. It needs to move over just a little bit. It is not over enough. And there you go. Finally going to be able to start repairing it. There, this one orbital command was almost destroyed. A good job calling in a mule in order to try to save it. Siege tanks are down over here. This one hatchery is just absolutely getting shelled right now. So this hatchery never going to have any true minerals being mined, but Zerglings and Mutalisks looking to perhaps intercept. All the units are coming in transit. This is not good. Strlok not paying attention. Marines trying to finally fight back, but this is not good at all. The Marines realizing that they cannot turn around, and the Medivacs deciding to come back and push down over here. The hatchery has been destroyed. There are a lot of units in position to try to deny this hatchery over here. The hatchery has been denied already, as Banelings and Mutalisks and Zerglings still swarm about the map. Currently sitting on 23 Marines right now. There are Medivacs over here. Siege tanks were able to shoot past that. They're getting off a couple or one easy kill, as now we're going to see what exactly these Mutalisks look and want to do. It looks as though the orbital command has been repaired enough. It is going to try to be re-established once more. Strlok going to call in some more mules perhaps in just a moment. But meanwhile, a battle coming in down over here. Let me go ahead and replay that. So yeah, down over here, you're going to see this large swarm of Zerglings. Zerglings in the front. Zerglings now flanking from the right as well. A lot of Zerglings were destroyed, but those were just cannon fodder as the Mutalisks continue to push in. Another siege tank going to get destroyed. And now Banelings may be able to run in here. This is going to be very bad for Strlok. Strlok losing all of his Marines. And that is exactly what Don Regu wanted to do. Don Regu has now taken the lead after fighting his way back into this game. 73 drones versus 50 SCVs. There's a lot of Marines, but those Banelings have been able to find their target and pretty consistently. Marines now able to push back, but a Medivac a little bit out of position, getting destroyed there. Now, Strlok really needs to figure out what his long-term, or how he's going to try to approach this any further. So far, those Banelings have really been a problem. Banelings so effective against just Marines, and now perhaps going to be able to pick off some of those Marines in transit. No, it doesn't look like it. There's an Overseer off over here. Medivac going to get destroyed. Zerglings and Banelings now rolling in. The Marines are trying to push away, and are we going to get the supply depots up in time? It doesn't look like it. Bunker now getting destroyed. One Thor up on the high ground, getting in a couple rounds of attack, able to take down two of those Mutalisks, as now the siege tanks are finishing off the rest of those Zerglings. Army compositions, things are still going much more in favor of Donregu. Donregu now adding in Zerg level 2 carapace upgrades. I'm also getting the carapace upgrades for ground and air. Adrenal glands, so the crackling upgrade will be researched in just a moment. The attack speed on those Zerglings so incredibly fast, as the Zerglings still continuing to swarm across the map. Now, infestors are being added as well, so any Marines that are now tightly bunched together will be destroyed. Fungal growth did have a bit of a nerf, but as soon as a fungal growth is able to immobilize Marines for so long, those Banelings are going to be able to detonate onto their target, since those Marines are not going to be able to retreat nearly as well. SCVs are now just trying to clear out the rest of these creep tumors here. So hard to see what exactly is activating. Oh no, nothing's activating this one Zelnaga tower. It's not a warp gate. One of the difficult things to try to figure out on this particular version of MLG Dual Site, why they used warp gates as opposed to at the actual Zelnaga tower, building. Anyways, getting back into the game, Marines now in position. It looks like they are going to try to push in over here. There is one Spinecrawler. That Spinecrawler will most likely fall in just a matter of seconds, as the Marines are now perhaps going to be able to continue this push in once more. Spinecrawler quickly getting focused down. Zerglings now trying to swarm in. No fungal growth. Siege tanks in the back. 2 Thors trying to finish off the rest of those Mutalisks. The Mutalisks, however, going to survive, even though they were not magic boxed. So many Zerglings and other units coming in as well, and the last of these Marines will get taken down by the Queen. There is a couple Mutalisks in the air to offer some support there, and now the army size advantage, over a 50 food advantage now for Donregu, as additional Spinecrawlers are now being added. There was a drop over here which was quickly countered. Not that many drones were destroyed, but this hatchery about to be completed may get canceled. We'll see what's going to happen here. Yes, it is not going to get canceled, as the hatchery does complete just in time, but the Marines may try to finish it off in just a moment, as we are now going to get Zerglings trying to run up. And are they going to be able to do so? It doesn't look like they'll be able to find their destination, and this hatchery pretty much gonna go get destroyed and pretty much unanswered there. Marines are currently now getting into 3-2 upgrades. Marines are currently sitting at 2-2. We are going into Corruptors. You don't see many Vikings finally being added, as the Mutalisks are trying to push in, and now in comes some Broodlords. Broodlords are going to be able to start just pushing in on this one siege tank. There is a medevac over here. The medevacs, however, not going to be able to outrun these Mutalisks. Mutalisks able to quickly take it down. More Marines now trying to push in over here. Where are the rest of those Broodlords? 3 Broodlords in the air, now making the slow trek to the 12 o'clock expansion over here. Zerglings now swarming across the map as well. Production tab shows more Broodlords and more upgrades as well, as it gets completed. Strlok in a bit of trouble, only running off of 3 bases compared to the four bases right now of Donregu, and who can easily establish up another base. Superior army for Donregu. It looks as though, yes, the Broodlings are going to start just raining down. The Broodlings are upgraded 3-3, so they do deal a lot of damage, attacking very, very quickly, and now going to start to move across once more. A lot of units once again caught in open field. Donregu going to clean this up, and now there is the GG by Imba Strlok. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.